Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, here we rolling, child. Ooh, allergies cooking your girl's booty, child.
Look, I know. I was feeling that way like last week, but I've been taking medicine every night
Mhm.
because it was affecting my breathing. But yeah, they are it's out. It's out.
Right.
But we ain't here to talk about
I
that.
was just gonna say we're here to talk about Elite Eight and a Final Four. We ain't talking
Yeah.
about about that.
Yeah, no, it was some good basketball over the weekend. I need to pull up the stats or whatever, but there was a lot going on. I think
Yeah.
obviously we were in the regions,
Mhm.
Fort Worth and Sacramento. Who was in Fort Worth? It was what? UConn, obviously, Notre Dame,
Mhm.
Vandy. Who was the fourth team in Fort Worth? I might blank. Oh, UNC.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then that was at least in Fort Worth day one, and then I forgot about everybody else.
What you talking about? How'd you
Just
forget?
like who was in Fort Worth, but like, anyways, getting us to the Final Four is focused on those teams. So now we got everything went chalk that
Uh-huh.
we thought it was going to, which is kind of like it's boring a little bit, but it also isn't.
Yeah.
I feel like now, like if you think about it, like these four teams that are the Final Four teams, which were the same ones last season. So like the storylines are really dope. Everybody kind of gets some get backs. So you have South Carolina obviously playing UConn in the Final Four, which is a rematch of last year's national championship. I'm sure they're going to want to put, some get back on their name, losing not only once at the championship, but also when they play back at the CLA in that February. So within the last calendar year, South Carolina versus UConn is 0-2. So we can take a look at how they feel about approaching that game. But then you got UCLA
Right.
and Texas, which I think is going to be very, very interesting because Texas is the only team that has beaten UCLA this season. So we can see how that goes. But taking a step back in the
Mhm.
regionals, it was interesting. If we start with UConn, came in like kind of hot and heavy, super consistent, dominating all the teams. They played
Yeah.
UNC, and I watched that game obviously, and it was close. I think like it was like the fewest. Go
Can
ahead.
we I have something to talk about because I believe in equal opportunity
Okay.
tongue lashings. And you and
Oh,
I did kind of put something on your girl, legit Jack, for when she was complaining at the press conference.
mhm.
So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your boy Geno
Oh, yeah.
complaining about playing in different arenas, complaining
Talk
about
about it.
rims and
Talk
all
about
that.
it.
Now, while I do agree some with him, I
Mhm.
believe just as legit Jack was complaining,
Mhm.
just the things that he was complaining about comes with the game. Now, if you want to come from the perspective of the fact about how the boys are treated versus the girls,
Yeah.
yeah, then I get that angle. But
Mhm.
it's like, what are you complaining about, Gino? I'm
I
playing devil's
think
advocate. Yeah.
yeah, and I think what I mean, it was twofold, right? There were
Mhm.
two things that he addressed. It was
Mhm.
one, the timing of the media, because obviously when you get to these regionals, it's different from playing. There's like March Madness in the first couple of
Mhm.
rounds when everybody has home court advantage because you can kind of like obviously wake up in your bed, you're in your own time, you're acclimated, so on and so forth. But when you start getting to these regionals, teams are traveling from east to west, Midwest to South, so these different time zones,
Mhm.
and it was less about what it was more about the timing of how everything. When you get to the regionals, it's like it's managed a certain way.
Mhm.
Like you only can be on the court a certain amount of time. Like you have certain slots where you're allowed to be on the court. You have to
Mhm.
show up for media at a certain time. You have to be here at that time. So it's like managed differently, so everybody doesn't have like a disadvantage, and everybody's kind of on the same level playing field. So
Mhm.
what he was saying was, for an example, teams like his team that day had to be sorry, they play UNC on Friday or
Mhm.
whatever, and then they do their media, their post game after that. And then there's also press in the locker room that they open hours for. And then they finally get to go home or whatever and rest. Then to be told that you got to be back at the gym for more media
Mhm.
that following day at 6:30 in the morning. So if you think
Mhm.
about it, they probably got zero. They got rest, but like they could have had more rest. And
Mhm.
to his point, he was like, "Why are we here at 6:30 in the morning when you could have asked us? Like you knew who we were playing the next day after the
Mhm.
win. Like why could you not ask the same questions that you would ask at 6:30 in the morning last night?" So it's just like stuff like that, and that was like one side.
Right, okay, I was about to say that's one side.
And then yes, to your second point, then he brought up like reading off stats about all the teams that play not
Right.
only at the Fort Worth region but also in Sacramento, and just reading how these teams that typically shoot pretty decently from the three
Mhm.
shot well under their average outside of South Carolina because they were just like,
Jordan, can I please take it to the article, please?
go ahead,
Because you know I love to put on my reading voice.
give us some context.
And I quote from your boy Geno. I'm going to read you some numbers, okay? 4 for 20, 4 for
Mm,
22, 1
mm,
for 17,
mm,
5 for 18,
mm.
4 for 16, 7 for 26.
Bloop.
That's the 3-point shooting yesterday across the country. How many arenas are we going to sell out with that bleep? It says. I don't know what expletive he used. I think he said shit.
Probably.
Um, So he believes that the low shooting percentages might be attributed to the new baskets and basketballs described as out of the box. He laminated how players were dribbling basketballs off their feet and missing numerous shots. Ariyama said the balls seemed to have so much air in them, they bounce unusually high when players attempt to dribble. He then says, quote, I just don't understand how some of the decisions that are made about our game when we're trying to grow the beep game.
Yeah.
There's just no concept of how basketball is played. So that to me, is that the second fold you're about to get into?
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Okay, because that sounds like my girl legit Jack complaining about some stuff that's just a part of the game.
Well, I think the difference is that she's complaining to avoid playing a team. Like she don't want the smoke. Whereas Gino's like, yo, there's something here. Let's look into it because the balls. I mean, in general, basketball. Like if you go to play a pickup game, like I play them when my knees allow me to. But when I go play a pickup game, we all come with our basketballs, and we legit before we start playing the game, we're like all touching the ball to see like, yo, does that have enough air in it? Is it too bouncy? Is it hard? Because there is a certain like feel of a basketball that you just shoot better on. Like it just feels better to dribble. It feels better to shoot. So what he's saying is not false. I think as a basketball player, anybody who knows basketball, we've all been there where we're all trying out the balls to see which one everybody feels comfortable with.
Right.
And
that's true.
He's saying that wasn't the case here. And typically what they're saying also back in the day, they would literally have like the captains come and they'll have multiple balls. And then the teams would be like, oh, yeah, this one feels good. But it sounded like this one would be like, yo, like this is the ball. It's out the box. We're playing with it. Like there's no like say or, about that. The rims thing, same with the rims. Like we've all played on double rims or new rims. Like there is a stiffness to some rims that don't have that give from just being shot on that you do get that shooter's bounce. You know what I mean? That is also a part of the game. So I don't think it was a similar thing as Syracuse. I think it legit is like there is basketball is yes X's and O's, but it's also like the equipment and what you play on. And then also to a point, it was like the fact you only have 30 minutes to shoot around, like that doesn't give players enough time to come in and like get familiar with the arena, like the background of a court. Like he's like, there's more that goes into basketball than having to be like just married to you only have X amount of time to be on the court. You know what I mean? So to his point, he's like, yo, like if this is what we want to do, like in order to give a better performance from these teams who typically shoot better, who typically put on better displays of basketball, like we need the logistics to also support that. So I think that's where he was coming from versus being like, oh, we didn't shoot well because of that. It's like, no, we didn't shoot well because A, B, and C.
I was just going to say, okay, and again, remember, I'm just playing devil's advocate to get the other side of it. But what I'm saying is, I also want to ask, this conversation is happening after a lesser performance.
Yeah.
But it is the only attribute because there's a lot of things, like you said, that comes from the game that can't only be attributed to the equipment.
And I think though, he didn't go up there and just like talk about his team specifically. He read off multiple stats from other teams in different regions. So he's calling out this isn't a UConn problem. Obviously, we had a trouble offensive night.
Do you think he was probably just better at how can I say establishing a more well-rounded argument for something that he personally felt, or do you know what I mean, that he'd come at it with a little bit more media training than your girl, or do you think it was what I mean, like yes it comes off like he's feeling it, yes it's everybody, but
I think him saying it causes a little more attention because it's Geno. Like he's literally he's now going to his 25th Final Four, like his 17th out of the last 18th Final Four in a row. Like that's crazy. So obviously this man has experience and he has been around the different logistics every year that he's gone. So he can call out the differences about what has worked and what hasn't worked. And so I think it's worth pause to be able to let's sit and like listen to what he has to say because clearly he knows what he's talking about. So
True.
I think that's what he was doing was just calling attention to like, yo, like we can do this better. I've seen it done better. It's equal this visibility. Um, so I think I think low key he's just he's trying to have women's basketball top of mind. And
Right.
how those regions were ran, he's just calling out like, yo, like it's been done better. We have to do better in order to keep the game growing.
Right. And yeah, he did say that. I appreciate
Yeah.
that, especially as
Yeah.
a fan and just seeing how women's basketball has grown. So, I mean, you're right. If there was
Yeah.
anybody who could speak on something and on
You
a
know what's
growing
crazy too?
a
And
growing
like,
stage.
yeah, and one last thing on the equipment thing, like again,
Yeah.
like you kind of witnessed it. Like I watched
Yeah.
every game. Balls
Mhm.
were just bouncing. Like
Right.
how they were coming off the rim, like it was just like it didn't
Did
look
you say one
right.
was like sitting on the rim for like 3 seconds before it
Literally,
fell?
as they played Notre Dame. I forgot the post players on Notre Dame. She literally had like a little hook shot. I kid you not. That ball stayed on the front of the rim for like 4 seconds before it decided to drop in. I've never seen that in my life.
That's crazy.
Ever. So I'm like,
Right.
there gotta be something to it because if you think about it, a used rim or a rim with some wear and tear, you
That's
got a
good.
little bounce or
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean? But it was
Mhm.
just so stiff that the ball was just like boop. Like
Yeah. That's
I
true.
don't know.
Um,
Yeah. But again, I would say this so we can move on to Final Four. But hats off to Notre Dame. They
mhm.
had a great run. Again, like I don't think anybody saw them going to Elite Eight. It's funny
Right.
because they couldn't get past the Sweet 16 for the last 5 years. And they
Yeah.
finally made the Elite Eight. And they made the Elite Eight with this roster that nobody thought they would make it to the round of 32 with. So
Right.
shout out to Neil Ivey and that squad and Hannah Hidalgo. She's a dog. Hannah
Dog.
Hidalgo. Go.
Woof, woof. I'm
Um,
gonna say I became a bigger fan. Like I've always admired her game. Like I said, I love watching her play basketball, but I became a bigger fan of her this year. Just watching her,
you-
and even just overcoming all the roster changes from last year, how
yeah.
that mass exodus, and just how she stayed focused and was like, okay,
She
bye.
grew. She grew as a
Yeah.
leader. Like you can tell, you can
Mhm.
definitely tell because there could have been moments where she would be frustrated because she knew how much she had on her back. But
Right.
she had all the right to argue and complain, and you can kind of tell she just kind of like did what she had to do and put her team on her back, and they got to Elite Eight. So kudos to that program. They're gonna look better next year. But yeah,
Mhm.
so
So just if we're gonna do, because we don't got much time, y'all. This was just a quick little episode, but I just want to tell you now. I think Duke's taking down UCLA, and I hope they do. And that UCLA spot is ours next year. That's all I wanted to say about the
well,
Final
Duke already
Four.
did take down UCLA,
I'm
or
sorry.
UCLA
Yeah,
did. What are you talking about? Oh, next
I'm
year?
sorry. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean Duke. Sorry, not UCLA. Why do I keep doing that? UCLA, Texas.
Texas. Oh, okay.
Sorry. No,
Yeah.
Texas will take down UCLA, and USC
Oh,
will have that spot next year.
that is the one. First of all, I will say this: UConn was like the hot and heavy team coming into this Sweet 16 round.
Yeah.
Texas leaving it is the hot and heavy team going to the Final Four, and that is
Mhm.
coming from a UConn fan, y'all. Like I don't play about my
Right.
girls,
You
but
don't
in
play about
terms
your
of
girls.
like how they showed up, the consistency, how they looked in both of those games,
Yeah.
Texas definitely has that energy going into the Final Four. So I definitely feel
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, they're gonna get UCLA.
Oh, I can't wait. Did you say a dance? They did.
I wish they would stop doing that.
It bothers me.
Like, it's the 5th time that they've done it on social media. It's like, I get it. Like, y'all took
Right.
time to learn the choreographed dance.
Right.
Like, it was cute when you did it for your senior night. Like, let it go.
Yeah. Y'all took time to TikTok. Right.
Yeah.
Jordan, before we get out of here, please, your spiel, your Final Four. We don't know who you think is going to win Final Four, but what do you see in
Yeah.
this Final Four coming up?
I
Which we
just,
will be at, y'all, in
oh,
Phoenix.
we gonna be there live. We're gonna
Yeah.
be vlogging too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And will.
It's gonna be a good time. I will
Right.
say this, like, again, I am biased when it comes to UConn. Like, that's not a secret. But putting my just basketball analytical mind to this,
Mhm.
um, consistency, looking at players, looking at watching both South Carolina, all the teams, honestly. I feel like it's going to be a more competitive game than it was last year between South Carolina and UConn. I'm hoping so. I don't want any
Me
blowouts.
too.
I want
Right.
no blowouts in these Final Fours. I
None.
know that. Um, I think that UConn will get them based on the depth, their
Mhm.
style of play, their pace, and
Mm.
I just don't think South Carolina has enough long term because UConn is known to play a 40-minute game.
Yeah, but North Carolina almost had them shaking in their britches.
Yeah, they did, but I also know that Sarah and AZ did not have the best offensive days in that region. I
Right.
know that they're not gonna like. There's no way that they're going to the Final Four playing like that.
Okay. Hey.
In my opinion, I
Mm.
feel like I'd rather get it out there. I feel like they're gonna show up in the Final Four. I call
Mm.
AZ Fudd Final Four Fudd because
Oh,
if you
okay.
remember last year, she had the similar thing. She did not play well versus Oklahoma or USC, but when she got to that Final Four,
Mm-hmm.
she won MOP by when it was all said and done. So I feel like she's gonna do the same thing this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like again, South Carolina's been known all season, like literally all season, to have slow starts. They had a
Right.
slow start versus TCU. That game was pretty much tied until the fourth quarter.
Mm.
So if South Carolina comes out that slow, they had a slow start against Texas in the SEC championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they lost that to get, anyways. But if they come out slow like they did in those games versus UConn about to run it up because
All
UConn
right.
know to come out fast and then
Right.
adjust at halftime. But anyways, long story short, I think UConn takes it. Other side of the bracket, I got Texas taking it. 'Cause I feel like they can bully Lauren Betts and they can take away their guard play by their defensive press.
I have Texas and South Carolina going to the championship game.
Okay.
So y'all heard this here first. And Jordan owes me $100 if they lose, y'all.
That's the
So
only
I'm gonna
reason.
put that.
We bet that UConn wouldn't go undefeated, so she's really winning that. You only got 2 more opportunities.
Right.
So I guess South Carolina would make sense. But yeah,
Right.
I hope it's a good game. I do have UConn beating South Carolina at least by 10 points. But again, I hope everybody's locked in and we get some good games on Friday.
All right, y'all. That's a quick episode. This is Bailey.
All right, y'all. This is Jordan.
It's Smitty with the Mitty.
Mitty with the Mitty. Holla.
Holla.